I still remember the exact second my world cracked open, like a glass shattering in slow motion, shards flying everywhere, cutting deeper than I ever thought possible. "We're keeping it immediate family only," my brother wrote. Real family. You know what I mean? And just like that, the word adopted wasn't a quiet footnote in my life anymore. It was a blade. My name is Ethan. I was 35 then, living in a quiet suburb outside Charlotte with my 9-year-old daughter, Lily, the only person who has ever looked at me like I was enough. We pulled into the parking lot of that overpriced Italian place my mom loves, the one with the twinkling patio lights, and the valet who pretends he's happy to see you. Lily was clutching a gift bag that dug into my palm, heavy with the handmade scrapbook she'd spent weeks on, photos, drawings, little notes in her careful handwriting. "Nana, you're my favorite grown-up who laughs at my jokes." She was vibrating with excitement beside me, swinging her legs in the passenger seat. "Do you think she'll cry happy tears, Daddy?" I forced a smile, but my phone had just lit up with Marcus's text. "My brother, the golden child, the one who shares their blood." I read it again, and again. The words didn't soften. They just sank deeper like stones in my chest. Real family. I'd been adopted at 4. Old enough to remember the social worker's kind voice, young enough that the memories feel like someone else's nightmare. My parents always said they chose me, but somehow that choice came with conditions I never agreed to. We were already there. The restaurant glowed ahead of us, warm and inviting through the glass. I could see them inside. Mom at the head of the table in the emerald blouse I'd sent her for Christmas, Marcus leaning back with that easy grin, his 2 boys wrestling over breadsticks. Everyone laughing, everyone belonging. I should have driven away right then, taken Lily for ice cream, made up some excuse about traffic. But she looked up at me with those huge, trusting eyes and whispered, "I really want to give it to her myself." So I did what I'd always done. I walked into the fire. The hostess smiled politely. "Name? Lane. Ethan Lane." She scanned her list twice. 3 times. Her smile faltered. "I'm sorry, sir. I don't see." That's when Marcus stood up. He didn't look surprised. He looked relieved, like he'd been waiting for this moment. He strode over, all casual confidence, and stopped just close enough for the hostess to hear every word. "Ethan," he said loudly, like we were old pals bumping into each other. "What are you doing here?" Lily lifted the gift bag a little higher. Uncle Marcus." Her voice was small but hopeful. He didn't even glance down at her. "I told you," he continued, still smiling that plastic smile. "Immediate family only tonight. Keeping it intimate for Mom." The hostess shifted uncomfortably. I felt the heat crawling up my neck. "Lily just wanted to drop off her gift," I managed. "It'll take 2 minutes." Marcus's eyes flicked to the bag like it was an inconvenience. "You can leave it here if you want. We'll make sure she gets it." He turned to the hostess. "They're not on the reservation." And then, nothing. No one from the table waved us over. No one called out. My mom looked right at us, right at Lily holding that bag like it was made of gold. And then she turned back to her salad, lifting her wine glass and a little toast to someone else's story. Lily's hand tightened in mine. I felt her whole body go still, like she'd been turned to stone. Not crying. Not yet. Just shrinking. Marcus leaned in slightly, voice lower now. "Don't make a scene, man. It's her birthday." I nodded once. "Because that's what you do when you're the one who was chosen. You nod. You absorb it. You leave quietly, so no one has to feel uncomfortable." We walked out without a word. The night air hit like ice. Lily climbed into the car and buckled herself in silence, hugging the gift bag to her chest like armor. After a minute, she whispered, "Did I make Nana mad?" That question, God, it lodged in my throat like broken glass. Because no, baby, you didn't make anyone mad. You just reminded them that I was never fully theirs. I built my life from scratch. After college, I started a small online business. Reviews, tutorials, the kind of content that quietly snowballed into something real. Sponsorships, partnerships, enough to buy a house with a backyard big enough for Lily to run in. Enough to never need anyone's help. But Mom had always lived beyond her means. The shopping, the trips, the keeping up appearances that somehow always fell on me to fund. One night, 3 years earlier, she called sobbing. I don't know how it got this bad, Ethan. The cards, it's over 250,000. Medical stuff, helping Marcus when he was between jobs, just life. I'd stare at my laptop screen, heart pounding. $250,000. More than I'd ever seen in one place. But she was crying. She was my mom, the woman who'd picked me. So I fixed it. Slowly. Painfully. I consolidated debts, negotiated settlements, set up payment plans. They added me to the accounts just to help manage things. Honey, you're so good with numbers. For 3 years, I poured money in. 6,000 some months. 10,000 others. Once 15 grand when a big campaign paid out early. I watched the balances creep down like watching a wound heal in reverse. Marcus knew. Of course he knew. He'd joke about it at family gatherings. Don't worry, Mom, Ethan's got it. Our personal family foundation. Everyone would laugh. Mom would swat his arm playfully, but never correct him. And still, Lily got the leftover gifts. The clearance rack toys while Marcus's boys got the latest gadgets. Still, I was introduced as our adopted son at parties, like it needed clarifying. Still, the inheritance. Talks happened right in front of me, with meaningful glances about bloodlines. I thought if I just kept giving, if I proved I was reliable enough, generous enough, they'd finally see me. Really see me. But that night in the parking lot, watching Lily try not to cry over a gift no one wanted, something shifted. Not broke. Shifted. Like tectonic plates finally giving way. The next morning, while Lily ate her cereal and pretended everything was fine, I opened my banking app. 3 auto payments. Like clockwork. Draining into accounts that weren't mine anymore. I canceled them. One by one. Confirmation screens popping up like little freedoms. Then I called the banks. All 3. Calm voice. Professional. I'd like to be removed from these accounts immediately. I'm no longer willing to remain liable. The representatives were kind. Efficient. Are you sure? They asked each time. I looked out my window at the quiet street I'd earned. At the life I'd built without their approval. Yes, I said. I'm sure. It took less than an hour. 3 years of carrying their weight, gone with a few phone calls. They didn't notice at first. Not until the cards started declining. Mom called 8 times in a row one afternoon while I was picking Lily up from school. I let it ring. When I finally listened to the voicemail, her voice was pure panic wrapped in outrage. Ethan, my card was declined at the pharmacy. Do you have any idea how embarrassing? People staring, the pharmacist asking if I had another form of payment. What did you do? Marcus texted next. Fix this. Now. Then, you're being childish. Then, she's crying. Happy. I didn't respond. Not yet. When I finally called Mom back, she answered on the first ring. What is wrong with you? She hissed. I'm at the grocery store and nothing's working. I'm no longer on your accounts, I said quietly. Silence. Thick and stunned. Then the switch, the soft voice she used when she needed something. Honey, why would you do this without talking to me first? Because Marcus made it clear I'm not real family, I said. Remember? At your birthday. Oh, he was just in front of Lily. She doesn't even. She asked if she'd done something wrong. More silence. This isn't about that, Mom said finally, voice hardening. This is about money. You can't just punish me because of one silly comment. I paid off $250,000 of your debt, I said. Over 3 years. Out of my daughter's future. Out of my savings. And I'm still not real family. You're being dramatic. No, I cut in. My voice didn't shake. I'm being done. She started crying then. The big, performative sobs that used to make me cave instantly. You're abandoning me, she wailed. No, I said. I'm choosing my daughter. The line went quiet. What am I supposed to do now? She finally whispered. The same thing I've been doing for years, I said. Figure out. Or ask your real child for help. I hung up. Marcus showed up at my door 2 days later, pounding like he owned the place. I watched him on the Ring camera first, red-faced, pacing. When I opened the door, he started in immediately. You're killing her, you know that? Her cards are frozen. She's humiliated everywhere she goes. Good, I said. He blinked. Maybe she'll finally feel what it's like to be excluded, I continued. What it's like when the people who are supposed to love you decide you're not worth the effort. This is about one dinner. This is about 35 years, I said, of being reminded I was the extra. The charity case. The one who had to earn what your kids got for free. He opened his mouth, closed it. Behind me, Lily was coloring quietly in the living room. I didn't want her hearing this. I'm done funding a family that doesn't claim me, I said. Simple as that. He stared at me for a long moment, then turned and left without another word. They still call sometimes. Mom leaves voicemails that swing between tears and anger. Marcus sends texts demanding I be reasonable. Other relatives chime in about families sticking together. But Lily? Lily smiles more now. She doesn't flinch when the phone rings. She drew a new picture last week. Just the two of us under a big tree, roots spreading wide and deep. And me? I sleep better than I have in years. Because blood doesn't make family. Love does. Effort does. Showing up does. And for the first time in my life, I'm showing up for the people who show up for me. So tell me, if this happened to you, if you'd spent years trying to buy your way into belonging, only to be told you never really did, would you have walked away too? Or would you still be paying? Thanks for watching. Do subscribe for more stories.